Hi, I'm Bridget, the SoFlo Flipper. Thanks for joining me on my channel today. Today we are going to do a what sold and take a look at what sold, but we're going to do it a little different because we're looking at what sold while I was on vacation in Alaska. So before I left, I put everything on vacation mode, and normally I sell on eBay and Macari, Poshmark, and Etsy. But Poshmark, Macari, and Etsy, you can't make sales while on vacation mode. You can with eBay. So, however, eBay defaults to no sales while on vacation mode. And I made the mistake. And the first weekend, I was like, why haven't I sold anything? And I realized I had set up my vacation mode incorrectly. I did want to make sales while I was gone. So I actually lost the whole first weekend of sales, which is terrible because weekends are the time you make the most sales. Okay, but I realized my error. So this video is really going to be mainly what sold on eBay, the Monday through Friday and then the weekend that I got back. So don't make the same mistake that I did. So let's get to it. We're going to dive right in to what sold on eBay while I was in Alaska. So let's get started. All right. So the first item that sold was a vintage Ralph Lauren bracelet. It's hammered gold bangle bracelet and signed Ralph Lauren. And I got this in an online auction of jewelry. And so it averaged out to about $2 a piece. And I took a best offer of $8 for the single bangle, and it took 2 months to sell. All right, the next item is a vintage SBI verdigris brass anthropomorphic sun and stars candlestick holders. They're 6.5 inches. They're from 1991. And those I took a best offer of $23. And I picked these up at a local thrift shop. They took 6 months to sell, and I paid $4 for them. And the next item that sold was a metal stylized cat holding purple crackle glass votive candle holder. So it's these pewter cats holding this little glass votive. And I picked this up at a local thrift shop for $2.50. And I took a best offer of $13. And they took four months to sell. So, and once again, let me just stop to remind you guys that I always charge shipping in addition to these costs. So the buyer is paying the shipping. So when I tell you what they paid, they're paying additional monies to pay for the shipping. All right. So let's keep moving. And the next item that sold was a Massimo gray and white striped crew neck tee, size extra small. It's new without tags. Actually, I see it had tags, but I bought a big lot. This was I've talked about it before if you've watched my channel. It was a huge locker lot of new items. Most of them were from Target, and there were so many items that I'm into that average 10 to 20 cents per item. This particular t-shirt sold, I had many of the same t-shirt, but this one took 3 months to sell, and I took a best offer of $5. And I bought this lot a couple years ago. I've been in the profit for a very long time, and I have a lot more items to sell. They're mainly clothes, jewelry, mainly clothes and jewelry. It was just so much. All right, moving on. The next item that sold was a vintage Fontanini Angel Cherub playing music with accordion, 5-inch figurine. She's like a molded resin like all of the other Fontanini, like all of the nativity pieces are and that sort of thing. So I picked her up with a whole bunch of different similar angels at my local Goodwill, and I got each one for $2.25. So this one I just listed by itself. It took 7 months to sell, and it sold for $17.60, which I have my store on a 20% off promo. So it wasn't exactly a best offer, but they purchased it on the promo. And the next item that sold was a Coastal Classics on the Beach Board Shop, Monterey, California, black t-shirt, size large. Now, this was a shirt I had bought for my son when I was out there at an event, and he wore it, and then he outgrew it, and then he gave it back to me. So I'm sure I paid more than what I got for it, but I think of it this way. I purchased it, he got use of it for however long it was that he wore it. So I don't really count it as, what did I pay for it, because, I got, we got use out of it. But anyway, it actually took 2 years to sell, and it sold on my 20% off promo for $14.40. And the next item that sold was a Ralph Lauren classic fit green with pink stripes, long sleeve button down shirt, size medium. This shirt was given to me in a big bag of clothes that somebody gave me to sell on eBay. So I have no cost into it. It took 1 year to sell this shirt. And I think the reason is Ralph Lauren items sell very well, but this is not the athletic cut, the athletic fit, which is the more popular style, especially for younger men. So this is more of a full cut, which is not as popular. So that's why I'm sure, because it was in excellent condition, but that's why I'm sure it took a while to sell. But anyway, it sold on my 20% off, 20% promo for $17.60. So, that was all profit, so I can't complain. The next item is a pair of D jeans, high-waisted belted paper bag skinny jeans, size 12, new with tags. Now, this was something I had bought for me at Marshall's, and they were just like a really weird fit. They weren't even my size, and I took too long to return them. And so, or it was either I took too long, or it was just easier to sell them on eBay because I got them at such a good price, which I don't remember what I paid. And I'm sure I'm taking a loss on these, but I had them out there for $25.60. But somebody gave me an offer, and they'd been out there for over a year without a single offer. So I took it. I just needed to cut my losses and move on, get it gone. Because remember, especially with clothes, if they sit there too long, the odds of something happening to them, or they're getting damaged or something, the odds increase the longer you store them. So sometimes it's best to just if you haven't got an offer in a year, you can expect that you're not going to get an offer for another year. So sometimes you just need to take it and run. But moving on, the next item to sell was a Mario Jason 12-inch floral brass and or bronze metal leaf on Ankh space art sculpture. This was a mid-century modern piece with these daisies. I don't know why I don't have daisies in the title. That's crazy. But anyway, really cool, fun piece for somebody that has that kind of decor and has a place for it, because it was pretty big. But I paid $4 for this at my local thrift shop, and I took a best offer of $40, and it only took 1 month to sell. So that was a good buy. As you can see, while I was gone, everything was like bread and butter sales, no big ticket items. But, I can't really complain either because, the great thing about what we do, if you do this, or maybe you just like to watch because it's fun to see what we do, um, that the fact that I can go on vacation and still make money. Um, I mean, that's fantastic. Anyway, so the next item to sell was a LuLaRoe Irma New Tags short sleeve gray and pink floral print shirt, size small. This particular one, I took a best offer of $10, and I did a big LuLaRoe buy a while ago, and I averaged out $1 an item, and this particular shirt took a year to sell. As I said in a previous video of what sold, I don't recommend buying LuLaRoe. I did this a while ago, and all the good stuff, like a lot of the good dresses and leggings and stuff, sold right away, and I got my money back right away, and I was in the profit, and everything was new with tags. So I did okay with this buy, but if I wouldn't do it today because LuLaRoe is even less popular than when I bought it 2 years ago. So, but I still have stuff left, so I just pretty much, if someone gives me an offer, I take it. All right, the next item to sell was a Pottery Barn ceramic leaf plate, white, or wall hanging decor. So it was made with the holes on the back of the plate already set up so you could hang it on the wall as a wall hanging. Super cute little plate. Of course, so many people love Pottery Barn, including myself, and I picked this up for $2 at a local thrift shop. It did take 10 months to sell, but I sold it on my 20% off promo for $19.20. So not too bad. The next item to sell was a Morale Aqua by Hot House Signature Flat Iron Collection 1-inch plates new. So basically a flat iron, which I picked up at my local Goodwill. I got it for $3.50. Kind of a weird thing for me to buy because that's not something I normally look at. I mean, maybe I should, but when I'm at the thrift stores, I don't normally look at like the curling irons and stuff. But I happened to be walking by and the box struck my attention, and I was like, oh, what's in this box? And I open it, and inside is a brand new curling iron. And I did a check on what it was going for. And since it was brand new, still had plastic and the paperwork and everything, the cord was still coiled. So you knew it had never even been like undone and plugged in. So I got it for $3.50, and I sold it for $24, and it took 6 months to sell. But not exactly quick, but it wasn't too bad of a sell either. All right, so the next thing to sell was a pair of Beezy's women's rosy slip-on shoes, navy, size 9.5, new. So they didn't have a box, but they had tags attached to them. I got them at my local Goodwill. I actually got 2 pair for $4.20 a piece. I haven't sold the other pair yet, but these ones took 1 month to sell, and I took a best offer of $20. And the next item is a Trovalor Jimmy Blue Crab hand embroidered brooch pin. So this was a beautiful crab brooch made out of teeny tiny little beads in its original box. And I got this at an online Goodwill auction, and I paid $14 for it. I actually had put a lot of items in draft mode before I went on my vacation, so that while I was on my vacation, when I had a few minutes, I would complete the drafts. And so I would be feeding into the beast, into eBay, almost daily, even if it was only a couple listings, so that I would remain active. So that when I came back Even though I was making sales, when you put your store on vacation mode, it does impact the algorithm. So you're not going to get, no matter if you get good sales or not, you're not going to get the number of sales you would if you were not on vacation mode. But so that's what I had done. So I actually listed this while on vacation. It it sold while on vacation. It sold in 2 days, and I took a best offer of $42. And did I tell you I paid 14 for the auction? And the next item I also listed while I was on vacation, um, and it was an Eagle Creek shoulder bag. New old stock, NOS on eBay means new old stock. That means it still has tags, but it's something that's not sold anymore in today's stores. Green crossbody travel sport bag vintage. So I got this at my local Goodwill, and I paid $4 for this, and it sold on my 20% off promotion for $32 in 3 days. Took 3 days to sell. And the next item to sell was this Little Thinkers 2016 Vincent van Gogh Unemployed Philosophers Guild plush doll with a removable ear, just like Vincent van Gogh had. But anyway, this is like a little educational but plush doll, and it was brand new in a bag. I bought this at my local Goodwill. They had a whole bunch of them of different kinds of, like Shakespeare and Van Gogh and different characters like that. And I bought every single one of them. And I paid $2.50 to $3 per little plush doll. This one took, and I had multiples of each kind of doll. This one took a year to sell, and he sold on the 20% promotion for $22.62. And the next item to sell was a pair of Philosophy women's black pull-on pants, semi-sheer with shorts length liner, size small. So this I received from a girlfriend who gave me a couple big bags of clothes to sell on eBay. She gave them to me, so I have no money, no cost in. This pair of pants took 11 months to sell, and I took a best offer of $9.50. And the next item to sell is a pair of Ilse Jacobson gold flip-flops with glitter, size 9. They were in excellent condition. I got these at my local thrift shop for $4.20. And I actually have 2 pairs of these, one in this exact same color, but this is not my size. And I also have them in the navy blue with the sparkles on top. And I love these flip-flops so much that when I saw them, first off, I was hoping they would be my size, but they weren't. But I'm like, if I think they're so wonderful, someone else is going to think they're wonderful. And somebody obviously did. It took a month and a half to sell, and it took a best offer, $20. Now, I'm done with eBay. Now, I do have a couple other items, because what I did is we were arriving home from Alaska over the weekend. And so with the other platforms, you have a couple business days to do shipping. So what I did is on Friday, I think it was, I went ahead and turned on, even though I was still in Alaska, I went ahead and turned on my Etsy, Poshmark, and Mercari stores in hopes to make sales over the weekend, since I knew nothing would need to be shipped until Monday. So that was a way for me to try to capture the weekend back with those stores, even though you got to get back in the algorithm and they actually don't go live right away when you turn the store on. But, you can plan it that way. So I did have a couple Etsy sales. The first one was a vintage mid-century modern glazed redware, black with black accents and red ears, 1950s Japan cat. And he sold for $13.59. And I had purchased him at my local thrift shop, and I paid 50 cents for him, and he took 3 months to sell. And then the other Etsy item that I sold was a vintage Wales Poodle porcelain dog, dusted 1950s, 4 inches tall. He almost looks like a spaghetti poodle, and maybe he's called that, but he isn't quite as spaghetti as many that I have sold. But I bought him at my local thrift shop, and I paid $1 for him. It took 7 months to sell, and he sold for $19. And then I had one posh sell, and that was a vintage solid brass seashell shaped planter with handle, heavy 12-inch, so it's pretty big. And I bought this at my local thrift shop for $5, and it took 6 months to sell, and I sold it for $30. I took an offer for $30, and that was it. I didn't, even though I turned Mercari on, it didn't sell. Nothing sold with Mercari. And remember, if you've watched my previous videos, Mercari has now charging buyers a fee, an additional fee, just a fee based on what the price of the item that you're buying. And so I'm kind of weighing how that's impacting my Mercari sales. And at this point, I don't have any sales since I've returned from Alaska either. So I definitely, absolutely, in my opinion, with my items, think that that has totally affected my Mercari sales, especially since I took some dedicated time the last couple days to make sure that I had cross-posted a whole bunch of new inventory onto Mercari, which traditionally would generate several sales, and I have 0. So I might have to rethink. Now I don't have seller fees either, though. So that's great for sellers. So maybe I need to go in and fix my pricing, adjust my pricing. Maybe other sellers have already done it and I'm kind of behind the curveball. So maybe their prices are lower than mine because they're taking into account that they don't have to pay the seller fees, so they can afford to lower the cost of the item and still get the same return, if that makes sense, if you're following me. I think that's something that I might have to take some time and do. So there's always things happening, guys, that you got to keep up with. Always things changing. Otherwise, if you don't go with the flow and go with the changes, then you could lose money. So, all right, guys. So that's what sold while I was away in Alaska. It was pretty much bread and butter sales, no big items, but I was still selling while I was out vacationing and having a great time. And by the way, be prepared for a lot of upcoming new videos that are going to be sourcing in Alaska. And I'm telling you, it was fun and you're going to love it. So make sure that you're subscribed, and so that you'll be notified when the videos come out. And if you liked this video, please give me a like. But to finish up, I just kind of wanted to go over the numbers of what I sold when I was gone. So if you look at my cost of goods for the items sold, it was $57.35. And my profits, not counting fees, of course, was $467.86. Not a great big number, but from what I paid, it's good profits. And like I said, I missed an entire weekend, so I'll take it. And bread and butter items do add up, so I can't complain. So now I'm back home, and thanks again for joining me on my What Sold today, and be on the lookout for the upcoming good stuff, and join me on my trip when I was in Alaska. See you guys soon, and I look forward to it.